Okay, reasons people do prep. I've got one here. Awareness will quench fear, anxiety, reduce impact that a disaster would have on your family, finances, and well-being. Number 2 would be self-reliance. Okay, who wants to depend on someone else? Okay, look at the people from Katrina. Look at the people from Sandy. Look at the people here just in Vandalia that we just had those strong winds. Okay, think about this. They had to run out of their homes because, well, they didn't even declare it a tornado till the next day. But it was like an EF1 or something like, or E0, something like that, but it still took them down. Okay, they couldn't return. They couldn't go back to their place that night, and I don't know that they still have gotten back, but they had nothing. They were refugees. They actually stayed at our church the first night, Living Word. So this stuff happens here. It may not be to the impact of the tsunami or that we've heard about. It may not be to the impact of Sandy, but we have Xenia that wiped it out, back in the 70s. Xenia was literally wiped out. So we do have these natural emergencies that come out. Self-reliance, we don't want to wait on. It took FEMA, it actually took them a week to 2 weeks to reach people. They were all, remember them all in the dome? They were all enclosed, herded in like cattle. They had nowhere else to go. Most of these people, dehydration, things like that set in. So, and then also too, the reason people prepare is it's an investment. You may not think about it now, but what you do today will save you from tomorrow. And what I mean is it's not only just disasters, it's inflation. How many have seen the prices of groceries? They've gone up astronomically. We were looking at cheese the other day and I said, man, I cannot believe how much cheese has went up. Just basic. I mean, it's went from $2 to $4. It's doubled. And then if you look at it also too, the packaging. When you go to Walmart, if you don't know this, Walmart actually forces their distributors to make their own packaging. They shrink it down. They make it less, even though it looks like what's at maybe Kroger's or whatever, but it has less in it. And that's why they can sell it at a cheaper price. So watch what you get. Don't just take it at face value and say Walmart's got it all cheap. It's not true. You have to look at how much is in those packages because they make them do special packaging for just them because they're huge. So just watch what you're doing there. The preparedness lifestyle is no different than what our grandparents did. We talked about that. They store up their food for a rainy day. They didn't have the just-in-time delivery system we are used to today. Who's heard of just-in-time delivery system? Just-in-time. You know you only have 3 days if something was to happen. How many remembers when we have blizzards, things like that? Where do they run? They run right to the store. They wipe them out every time. Why? They've got nothing. They're living from day to day. Well, these stores can only afford to store up to 3 days worth of food. That's why they're constantly have trucks coming in because they don't want to pay the overhead. They don't want to pay to have it stored, so they have a warehouse. Well, it has to get to you in 3 days. Well, in 3 days, I guarantee it's only going to be a day and a half. They're already wiped out. Did anybody see the YouTube video of what happened in, I believe it was Arkansas, when they had the food stamp program went on haywire, and Walmart still let them shop without having the approval? They came in, and get online and Google it. They came in within 6 hours and wiped that store clean. They had carts and carts and carts stacked full of food that they didn't need, but they knew that they could bring it in because the card machine was down. And so they couldn't see how much they had on their account. They were stacking everything. If you don't think that couldn't happen here, you're mistaken. 3 days, just in time. That's what we're looking at. So I'm not, and folks, please remember, I'm not trying to make you fearful. I'm trying to make you prepared, because if you're prepared, then you're not going to fear this thing. Hey, I've got my pantry full. I don't need it today. We're okay. I'm good for a week. I'm good for 2 weeks, whatever. This is what we want. We want this in a positive light, not a negative light. Reasons people don't prepare. Number 1 is ignorance. They just don't know. They don't have a clue what's out there. They get on their Facebook, which I'm on Facebook now. They play video games. They live life, they watch television and let the world go by. They're clueless. I don't want to be that person. Another one people don't prepare is denial. Nothing will ever happen to me. Have you heard that saying? Nothing. That's not going to happen to me. All that happened down in Arkansas, or that happened in Florida. That's not going to happen to me. It can. There's things here that can happen. Dependency, this is the one I hate. The government or the organization will be there to rescue me. Uncle Sam is coming to save your life. Come on. We've seen it time and time again. There's no reason to expect that. I mean, they've proven it. That's why they've upped the ante. It's the 2 weeks to have in your storage room. Well, it really should be more than that. Fear, it scares them to face anything that would disrupt their way of life and the way they know it. How many has heard the word Tiatuaki? No one? It's the end of the world as we know it. It's an Indian word. The end of the world as we know it, okay? We hear that in the prepper community a lot. Now, a lot of it can be based on fear, and a lot of it can be based on the other way too, faith. But the end of the world, as they know it, I mean, that could happen at any time. And I'm not talking about a nuclear bomb or anything like that. How many knows when you left high school, that was the end of the world as you knew it, right? Okay, every day, the way life changes, that could, that's the end of this era of your life. So that's what we're looking at. We don't want to do, we want people to be aware so that way the fear is relinquished. And then a lot of people I've heard of, it costs too much. It costs too much. Let me tell you right now, when I show you some things that we've done, it's for free. There's a lot of stuff out there for free. It's just out there for the taking. Who likes to coupon? Anybody here like to coupon? Well, at least there's a few. Guys, I've got some resources that you can get into that they actually send you the coupons. This woman, it's called Diane's Daily Deals, if you want to write that down, Diane's Daily Deals. She sends me out a notice every day of what's on sale. What out there is Walmart, Kroger's, you name it. Who knew dollar store accepted coupons? Dollar General. I mean, to give you an example, okay, we may have a lot of healthy people in here, and I don't mean nut as a bad term, but we have a lot of healthy, conscious people. I love Coke. I just do. I've always have. Well, there was an issue where I got a coupon online, and it was a one day only, and that's the way they'll do this sometimes for a really good deal. It was a coupon for $2 off per case of Coke. So for 12 Cokes, $2 off. Well, Walmart had it for $5 a case, but Kroger's was running a special. Buy 4 cases and get it for $8. Or no, I'm sorry. They were $3 a piece. So for $12, you get 4 cases, but you had to buy all 4. Now, Walmart, in their policy, says they will honor any coupon, whether you have it or you don't, as long as you let them know before they've totaled the sale out. Well, I went in and told the woman, said, listen, Kroger's has these 4 for $12. So that's $3 a piece. She said, no problem, sir, and she recorrects it. Then I hand her the $2 off coupon. Per case, I got a case of Coke for $1 a piece. We ended up with 60 cases of Coke when I was done. For 60, I like my Coke, I'm sorry. 60 cases of Coke for $60. There is a God, and he likes Coke. He's a Coke addict. Oh boy, that's going to go around church real well. At my competitor, CVS. I work for Hawks Pharmacy. It was done at CVS. They had a coupon out. You come in, lay the coupon down, and it's free. This stuff is some of the best. It ain't your dollar store general shampoo. My wife and I both tried it. It lasts forever. I ended up with how many? 50 of them. But it was per visit, 1 per visit. So every time we go by, I'd stop right in, put my coupon down. It was for a limited time. Boom. I may stop a couple different stores. It was legal. It was what they're telling you to do. Of course, they're trying to draw you in for something else to buy that's more higher price. But we ended up with that, okay? I know this sounds, it's not difficult. It's really simple. She sends it to you every day. So these are real simple things to do that you can save money on. This can really help you. Actually this bottle costs $2.99. Yeah. That's what they wanted for it, because it's a trial size, or it's a travel size. Supposedly they have just as much as this as they do a big bottle because it's about the same amount, just different packaging. So that'll tell you. I mean, there's ways to do this. I love free stuff. You can ask Mike back there. Let me show you what we got for free. Come on in, guys. We've got some seating up here. We've got some seating in the back. Band-Aids. Free. Something our company was throwing away because they came from a distributor and they had to get rid of them, so they offered to the employees. Why wouldn't you? I took them. Now somebody else would look at you and say, what in the world are you going to do with them? Well, when you come with a cut, then we'll know what to do with it. Okay? I mean, it's pretty simple. But why wouldn't I? I'll never have to buy a Band-Aid again. Neither will my kids or my grandkids. Okay? I know this, and it doesn't take up much. It doesn't take up much. So there's all kinds of stuff that we can do to save money. Like I said, the investment, the cost is not too much. Who cans here? Anybody can? Good, good. We're actually going to do a class on canning. We may learn something. We may have you guys help because, well, I'm like a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest on that. I have no clue on that. I've seen it done. My mom did it. Dad did it, not me. So I would like to learn, and I know there's a lot of other people like to learn. So there's a lot of things that we can go in. Canning, who grows a garden? Anybody grow a garden here? We're actually starting next year. Awesome. That's what you want. Because think about it. You're one can away from starving. But if you grow a garden, it's there forever. I mean, you cultivate it, you make it nice, you've got a garden. And now, I don't know how many of you live in the city, but you can actually grow a garden in pots. I've seen it done this way. They call it urban survival. They grow them in pots, tomatoes, beans, you name it. Everything. So there's other ways to get around this. So we've done the 5 for the reason people don't prep. And we got in, FEMA Emergency Management recommends 2 weeks worth of food, okay, stored for an emergency. Shelter, water, food, and medications. Okay, let's think of this.
Before you go any further, FEMA, if you go online to FEMA's website and take their courses, which have a myriad of disaster courses available.
Yes.
Most of those have not been updated to reflect that. Most of those will still tell you 3 days.
3 days.
It's in the process of updating.
Okay.
But just be aware.
There you go.
It's going to say 3 days.
Okay. Yeah, because I know the newest release was 2 weeks. So let me ask you this. One of the biggest things, and that we don't think about a lot, is let's say that a disaster happened. Okay, how many remember the Miamisburg disaster when that train wrecked? How many remember that? People had to vacate their homes. They were down for 3 or 4 days. Okay, I can't remember what it was, a chemical spill or something like that. Phosphorus, yeah, something simple, okay? I live right by I-70. If there's a trucker tanker that goes down, they could evacuate all of us. Anything can happen here, okay? So let me ask you this. These people that were in Vandalia, that they had only seconds to get out of there because when that wind came in, the ceiling came down, you only have seconds, okay? What do you grab when you're out the door? There you go. I grab my bag. I have what's called a bob, a bug out bag, or a get home bag, or whatever you want to call it, okay? We have stuff in there that will keep us for 3 days, sustain us for 3 days. But what about your information? Do you know the biggest thing that they had that was a problem with Katrina and Sandy was that people couldn't get back to their homes because they couldn't prove who they were. If you can't identify who you are, there were people they had to pull out electric bills to try to give them some kind of way to identify, hey, this is my property. And if their house wasn't destroyed, they had stuff that were being looted. Katrina, we've seen that really. The gangs took over the streets within 3 days. So how do you get back? How can you prove to go through FEMA to get to your property to prove, hey, I want to go back and check my stuff out? Well, you can't. There's no way possible. So one of the easiest things to do, and it's for free, is take your documentation, scan it. Take like your license, whatever, birth certificates, anything. Medications was a big problem. They said they spent billions of dollars replacing people's medications because they didn't have them when they left. Okay, what if I had a heart pill that I was in my apartment and all of a sudden the roof caves in and I run out and I've got no pills. You're 24 hours before dying. And you can't get them refilled because your prescription doesn't refill till next month. What do you do? You know, this is the thing. Well, if you had a script, you could actually go through, and I heard that there's a law being passed that you can, a pharmacist can refill it, and they can actually bill the insurance later after this is over with, and the insurance has to pay them. That was a big issue. They wouldn't pay them for anything that was put out, you know, over their due date. So this is a thing that you have to think about. What about your information? How are you going to prove, let's say you have to go rent a car. Let's say your car was destroyed. You know, your insurance policies, things like this. Well, then where do you keep this stuff at? Well, if you keep it, one of the best things to do is keep it on a thumb drive. And if you keep that stuff, you can be able to identify yourself. Now, I would keep hard copies too, and you've got to be careful because of your security for theft and things like that. But it's something as simple as this. This is a bracelet. It's actually a USB bracelet. You could actually put all your information on that, have it in your go bag, whatever. But you want to be able to identify if you've got a passport, things like that. You want to make copies of that stuff because I'm trying to give you little ideas for free that you can do now because safety is everything. Getting back, you're not going to be able to prevent a disaster from happening, but you sure can make your life a lot easier. You can in the process. Okay, natural disasters. Now, some of these we'll never have to face, and some of these we will. A disease outbreak. A disease outbreak happens when a disease occurs in greater numbers than expected in a community, region, or during a season. An epidemic occurs when many people locally. An epidemic is called when a group of local people, when there's a disease that is spreading. And then a pandemic is a national one, when you're seeing countries being involved. SARS virus, that was a big thing there. Avalanches, tsunamis, volcanic activity, landslides, cyclones, tropical storms, sandstorms, sinkholes, mudslides, solar storms, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, fire, blizzards, ice storms, heat waves, thunderstorms, damaging winds, lightning strikes, drought, pestilence, infestation. Man-made disasters, those were all natural. Man-made disasters, biological, terrorist attack, radiological dirty bombs, cyber attacks, chemical threat, EMPs. Civil unrest, hazardous materials, that could be a man-made for sure. A train crash, chemical spill, what we talked about, a fertilizer plant, the one up here in New Carlisle that exploded. People were vacated out of there. They couldn't stay. Power service, grid down, power rationing, blackouts, that's big time in California. Okay, this is where we hit home. Wage cuts, job loss, inflation. These are all man-made. These are things that you can help curb in your life. Man-made emergencies, power outages, economy, job loss, wage cuts, family refugees, natural emergencies, sickness, cancer, leukemia, operations. My wife and I went through an issue where, well, she actually went through the issue and I went through with her. She had cancer. We hadn't been preparing at that time. It would have made our lives a lot easier going to the hospital back and forth, not, you know, McDonald's, so sick of McDonald's, things like this, fast food. We would have been so much better, okay? She's out of a job. We're running back and forth. She's doing all this stuff for treatments and all this kind of stuff. How much better, how much easier would our life would have been if I would have been prepared at that time? And I'm not saying that it would have stopped any of it, but it would have made it easier to have things there. I wouldn't have to shop every other day or whatever. So things like that, these are natural things that we're going to talk about today. 3 minutes without oxygen. Can't live more than 3 minutes. I probably couldn't live more than a minute, but we'll just go there. These are average. You have 3 hours without shelter, and this is in the wintertime. 3 hours without shelter. You have 3 days to live without water. 3 days. Now we're talking about the normal person. There are some people that can go longer. I know a lot of people can go shorter than that. 3 days. And this is not going to be an easy task anyways for 3 days. You have 3 weeks to live without food. Now that amazes me. 3 days to live without water, 3 weeks to live without food. This should be your priority list on the very basics of preparing. So if we look at this, 3 minutes without oxygen, you could accumulate that with, or you could propose that with a fire, things like that. You want to make sure you've got some way to get good oxygen, some way in an environment that it's going to be, what should I say, tainted or whatever, smoke, whatever. You've got 3 minutes. 3 minutes without shelter, or excuse me, I'm sorry, 3 hours without shelter, you're going to get frostbite, you're going to get things set in on you where you have three hours to do that. Now what we're going to focus on here is the days, 3 days without water. This is the most crucial part. Okay, if you've got your shelter and you know your oxygen's fine, these are where the basics really come in. You've got 3 days without water. We're going to talk about water filtration. We have a Berkey water system at our house where it's a charcoal filter system. It's a freestanding gravity fed, and we have well water. I don't know how many of you have well water in here, but ours is horrible. It's sulfur, things like that. So this filters everything out there. It's guaranteed, I believe, to filter out 98% of chemicals, all this other kind of stuff. So you've got three days without water. The thing that I would recommend is that you start storing up. Now guess what? You need a gallon per day per person for water. 1 gallon to drink. That is not taking a shower. That is not cooking, cleaning, nothing. 1 gallon per day per person. All right? Now, if you're going to bathe and things like that, it's 3 gallons per person. Guys, that's a lot of water. We do not realize how much we as Americans consume water. We don't have a clue.
You want to know the average?
What's the average?
According to the water company, the average amount of water a person uses per day is 100 gallons.
Per day. She said in the water company saying 100 gallons per day. 100 gallons. That's crazy. But we do it. I mean, we just turn on the spigot and we expect it to come. That's just a lot of, think about how much water we waste in the shower that goes down the drain, And what's a dishwasher? That's right. I love my dishwasher. To a store and buy your food. Okay, now we're not talking about fresh meat or anything like that. We're talking about canned goods. Okay, the easiest way and the lowest impact on your wallet is when you go in to buy a can of beans or whatever, buy an extra one. Now you don't have to buy the whole shelf, you don't have to buy a case. If you can afford that, that's fine. But you don't want to stock up on 50 cases of beans and you forget your other staples that you're going to have to eat. It's going to get pretty old pretty fast if you're going to have to survive on beans. So be smart about this. When you go to the store, it's that simple. Just go in and buy an extra. It's funny, the other day I come in and Kathy had brought in, she had 7 cans of hairspray because they had it on sale. Okay, when you buy it if you can wait until it goes on sale, you're going to pay probably only 50% of what you normally would pay. Because think about it, how many knows when they have sale items at the store, they mark it down, and I promise you, write this down when you go in, write down what a spaghetti cost you, what a bag of spaghetti will cost you, and then if you go in the next week and that jar of spaghetti sauce is on sale, that spaghetti went up probably 50 cents. Why? Because they know if you get spaghetti sauce, you're going to want spaghetti. So they're going to make it out. They're not out to give you anything. So you just got to be smart. So when they run specials, if you've already got your pantry already stocked, you can go in and buy 10 cans of what's on sale because you're saving money. This is what we're here for, to save money, right? Okay. Now, one thing about it is, if you're going to start prepping, and I hate to use that word because it has a lot of negative connotations to it, but if you're going to start prepping or just start a pantry, preparedness, not everybody's going to understand this. I've had friends and family, I've seen husband and wives warring at each other. Well, I don't know why he does this, or I don't know why she does this. But I'm telling you what, when something happens, they're glad they do it. I've seen wives where they're canning, saving, things like this, and the husband, he's clueless. But man, when the lights go out, it's like, man, I'm glad she did this. It makes sense. So you might not be able to converse with your family member, or you might not be able, you may meet somebody or at work or whatever and start talking about this and they think you're a nut job. because this is always going to be here. McDonald's is always going to be open. Think about what you would want to save, put back. What you think. Okay, look at your demographics. First things first, look at your demographics. What has happened that's around me? What kind of natural disaster, man-made disaster, things like that, because your area may be different than mine. So I may want to put different things back. Like some of you may want to buy a generator because your power goes out. A lot. We have the weirdest power grid in the back of our house. They put this power pole in the very back. Every time a squirrel jumps on that thing, it fries him and all the electric goes out. Happens every time. And every time a squirrel jumps on that thing, and you'll be working on the computer or in there, and lights on, everything else, and okay, call DP&L. Power's out. We killed another squirrel. Yes, sir.
How many oil lamps do you have in the house?
How many oil lamps? I have no oil lamps. I have, and that's a good thing. I have a lot of flashlights, lighting, things like that. I'm working on a solar power right now to be able to charge them, but yes, oil lamps are great. How many likes to go camping? Anybody here like to go camping? My wife and I are learning the hard way on camping. We could tell you some stories. But we like it. Well, I like it. She tolerates it. But these are good things too. Okay, and also too, this can be a family fun thing. Guys, it's not all doom and gloom. I want you to have fun. If you're not going to have fun, you're not going to do it. Okay? You know all my grandchildren have bug out bags? We built them each one a bag. They love it. Them little suckers, they went out, we took them out to, what was not Houston Woods, but the falls out here. Charleston Falls. We took them all to Charleston Falls, and their ages are from 5 to 9. 5 to 9. We got 2 5-year-olds, and each one of them, now Grandpa went a little extreme on the little ones. He had to take a couple things out because it was just like this. My granddaughter was like, Grandpa, I think it's a little heavy. Okay, we took a couple things out, but they did not complain. We went on like a 2-hour hike? They did not complain one time. They wanted to bring out every tool. They wanted to know how to start a fire. This thing can be fun, okay, if you make it fun. And if your kids are grown up, you've got grandkids, it's a great time to do this, all right, to make it fun. And we're going to talk about, or we're going to go into some different avenues, like does anybody here have any unction to go on any kind of survival outings? Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3. There's actually a place, and if you know of anyone closer, that would be great. But there's one in Kentucky. If you get on Dan's Depot, they're part of it. It's called Nature Reliance School, I believe it is. And what they do is they can take you out for 2 or 3 days. These guys are trained military. A lot of them are retired, ex-military, things like this. They actually train them out there. Yes?
Is it an actual training facility?
No, it's they have a facility, and then they have the wooded area where they take you out to survive.
Okay. You said that was in Kentucky?
Yeah.
I know there's a guy in Southern Ohio. Have you ever watched the TV show Dual Survival?
No.
One guy's got real long hairs and he walks around barefoot. The other guy's ex-military.
Oh, yes, I have, yes.
The guy that's the ex-military guy owns Pathfinder School, and it's in Southern Ohio.
Okay. So if you guys have other ideas, you can send me an email, things like that, or write it on here that give us suggestions. But this one is Nature School. He takes them out for 2 or 3 days, trains them the basics, and then what I love about it is you bring your bag. He says guys are gear nuts, which we are. We love guns, beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. But they bring their gear, and all of a sudden, as you're going out, the next day he says, okay, what if you didn't have this? And he takes it from you. What if you didn't have this gadget? And he starts bringing you down the basic to where you end up with just a knife. What are you going to do? So it's really cool. So these are some of the things. Who likes to go shooting? Anybody like to shoot? Good. We may plan a day where we'll all go out to shoot. I don't know if we can find a private property, but I know a lot of the gun owners around here, gun store owners, so we can actually do that. Do maybe a couple different days, things like that. So we're there. If you guys have ideas, please write them down on the sheet. We can go from there. Like I said, keep on your Facebook, things like this. Now, to keep in touch with us, and that way email, things like that. Do I have any questions? Any questions at all? In priority, these are what you want to start working on. Now, before we get into anything else, this is what I want you to start thinking about, okay? And then also, too, your information. Store your information somewhere that you can actually readily access. Whether a fire or whatever, you have to run out the door. And guys, you don't have to go out and buy a huge backpack that costs you $300 for a bucket. Yeah, sorry, Keith. Sorry to bust your bubble, buddy. You can fill a gym bag with something basic. Anything can be used as a bug-out bag or a get-home bag. Honestly, a bug-out bag does not seem logical to me because I've spent my life building my storage at my house. If I'm going to leave there, it's going to be the last stand. Fact, because I've spent all this time, all this effort, all this money building this up. Why would I go and leave unless I absolutely have to and live on dehydrated food or whatever? I mean, don't get me wrong, we can do it. But why would I want to do that? Well, there's other ways. And then we'll get into some also too. If you want to get into some defensive classes, we can actually get into that. We've got, actually, there's some people I'm working with. There's some people that I'm working with that they can actually certify you in firearms. So ladies, oh sweetheart, can I have that? Can you let that go? I was wondering why it's coming loose. I'm thinking, why is this coming loose? She's pulling the cord. You can let it go. Thank you. But they actually train you in CCW classes too also. But they can actually train you on firearms. So ladies, if you would like, I took my wife to a class. She loved it. You can talk to her about it. I took her to a class here at, it was down in Moraine. I'm trying to think of the name here. Sim trainer. Yes, sim trainer. What was really great about this is they brought us in, I did it with her, and they had probably 30 different manufactured guns as far as all the same caliber, 9mm. And they let you try each one of them out to see what fit your hand right, what recoil, things like this. So it was really, really good. They went through, it was like a 2 or 3 hour class. It was only $75 a person, wasn't it? $75 a person. And you sat through a class and you held a gun with your finger on the outside. It's a toy gun. And for 3 hours, and if you put your finger on the trigger, you got fined. And some people walked out with a hefty fine. But they're teaching safety, things like this. So if you're interested in that, we may try something like that also. So there's a lot of stuff here. And like I said, this is just the basics. I want to get you guys thinking about this. Think in your minds, what would I do? Okay, what would happen if a tornado happened? Well, everything in your house may be gone, but what could I walk out the door with? What information, what everything else? If a fire happened, or let's say a sickness happens, is this going to make your life easier? Yes, it will, if you're prepared for it. Well, how much prepared can you do? Well, I can do the basics, and they can apply across the board, whether you're looking to stay in for a month or only a couple of days, they apply it across the board. Any other questions for me? Have you enjoyed the class? Okay, I hope I didn't bore you to death. But this is just the beginning, and the other ones are going to be just teaching classes, things like that. And like I said, please write down, if you have any ideas for us, please write them down, and we'll try to get to them as much as possible. I do have, and I will have the next time we do the meeting, I do have a CD with a bunch of links on it to different websites, you name it. I've probably got over 300 links to different things. Guys, you're going to love it because there's a lot of military training out there. I got it on there. We'll just put it on there for a heck. But let me give you this too to write down. PRN. Please put this on your paper. PRN, Preparedness Radio Network. This is a blog radio broadcast. They have over 30 people that get on there, 30 different programs that you can download on a podcast. And they talk to different people in different specialties. One is survival food or surviving out in the jungle, whatever. I mean, they go from canning to gluten-free foods, how to go into good gluten-free foods. Get on there, and you can download it. It's all for free. There's so much free stuff out there. And these people are legit. I don't know if you ever heard a man by the name of Dr. Prepper. His name is James Talbot Stevens. He's the one that founded this. And he's very, very, very good.